Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about overall, we've seen back and forth exchange as far as the PTI and the PML-N leadership is concerned. Of course, with the PTI planning more marches after Ramazan, what kind of a strategy is it? Is it a change from a conciliatory approach as far as the PML-N is concerned? We also saw the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif Saab say that perhaps it's more conducive for political process earlier on, that there should be some kind of a dialogue. But now, of course, the recent statement seems to be a change in attitude. What kind of a political climate overall can we expect in the light of this? We've also seen other leadership of the PML-N talk about how a failure of dialogue is indicative of a lack of seriousness as far as PTI is concerned. All of that today on Perspective. I have with me today Aniq Zafar, who's a political analyst. Thank you for being with us today. We also have with us Uzma Kardar, who is with the PML-N. Thank you for joining us today. And Mustafa Baloch, who's spokesperson, Sindh government. Thank you for joining us today. Let me start with Aniq Saab here. Aniq Saab, we saw earlier on, of course, the offer as far as former Prime Minister and the PML-N, very much PML-N as far as Nawaz Sharif Saab is concerned, and his earlier attitude of, perhaps a more conciliatory approach. Do you see the latest statements, perhaps a change there now that there has been again a failure in the process of dialogue between the two parties, main parties?
Thank you, Mahrukh. Of course, there was a lot of hope that and some wishful thinking as well, I would say, that this dialogue process would lead to some kind of reconciliation, some kind of agreement on rules of game, but unfortunately that did not materialize. As for the recent change in tone by Mr. Nawaz Sharif, I think a lot of it has to be credited to, if I am allowed to use the word credited to the social media wing of PTI. I think the campaign which was run by some PTI social media accounts and were supported by a lot of mid-level, second-level leadership of PTI was a very obnoxious campaign which involved another high dignitary, and it was beyond any any shred of decency, or it was not politics. It was simple slander, and I'm short of words to explain that. On national TV, I wouldn't like to use words which are suited. I will not go into detail of that campaign also, but I think our viewers will understand what I am referring to. I think that has really vitiated the atmosphere, and now I think neither from the political side of the government, neither from the military establishment, there is any hope of further positive engagement with PTI until unless PTI's top leadership actually apologizes for that kind of behavior.
Let me take Uzma on this also. Uzma, do you think that it is, like Aniq Saab said, it is about the attitude of the PTI towards largely, the political dialogue, dismissing it? We've also seen different statements come. Do you think that there's a chance that it can happen now? Of course, we also know the protests that have been planned as far as PTI is concerned for, post-Ramazan.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I think the environment was very conducive for a dialogue. And as you saw, Sadiq, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Deputy Prime Minister, Ishaq Dar, Rana Sanaullah, all these, big stalwarts of the PML-N, they were part of the dialogue process, and they were very serious, and we were anticipating that they would bring something to the table which would be acceptable to the opposition. But we all witnessed how they took a U-turn, and when they saw that there is no NRO in the offing through an executive order, they took a U-turn and they ran away from the table. The problem is that anything which is done through a democratic mindset does not exist in that party anymore. They have ruined their own chances of a dialogue, which, of course, is a very, very important hallmark of democracy all over the world. Anything and everything can be settled through talking to each other. But then we saw that. In their frustration and desperation, apart from attacking the state multiple times, apart from attacking all the national security institutions multiple times, systematically, by design, leading people astray, making them attack the law enforcing agencies, the rangers. We all saw what happened on 24th and 26th of November, apart from 9th May. They have, gone haywire on social media. The kind of character assassination that is being done. And here, do not think that it is just the so-called keyboard warriors that we find, which they
But
talk
Uzma,
about.
in spite of that, I'm going to interject here. In spite of that, we did see from the PML-N side, and we did see, initially there was some headway and perhaps, more promising than ever before. We thought that, the parties would be meeting, and there seemed some kind of a, a more, one can say, a conducive atmosphere to that kind of dialogue. And then again, now...
Yes, Mahrukh, you didn't you see that the entire government team was sitting there waiting for them to come, and they said that they had something in writing for them. So everybody was hopeful, but they didn't turn up. So whom do you talk to? To the walls? You see, so they when they can't get things, when they can't bulldoze judicial commission. Well, how do you make a judicial commission against the decisions which have come from the military court? Because of the punishments, those 85 punishments, all of a sudden they realized that they had maybe got themselves stuck absolutely at a dead end. And that is why they came to the negotiating table, thinking that everything will be done away with and everybody will come out of jail. There is incriminating evidence against them. They
come back to you, Uzma, on that note. On that note, let me come back to you. I'm going to include Mustafa in this also. Mustafa, I'll just come back to you. Mustafa, do you, as far as the situation now is concerned, the grand opposition alliance that the PTI is talking about, do you think that there are chances of such an alliance actually manifesting, getting together? There are chances, because it seems to be, of course, garnered at creating a kind of upheaval, creating, some kind of a ruckus that will get, and correct me if I'm wrong, the kind of reaction that the opposition would like.
Are you asking me?
Mahrukh, first we need to see why PTI is. Are you asking to me?
Ji, Mustafa, can you hear me? Mustafa, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ji.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ji, please continue.
So Mahrukh, we need to first see why PTI is trying to go for an alliance, because they know their street power has been diluted. They are no more popular in the public right now because of their non-serious attitude. The way they have turned into a rogue element, not a political party. And for dialogue, you need a sane element to have a dialogue with. Their party is in a way scattered. I mean, there are 3 or 4 groups within their party. So I don't know whom to take serious right now. They are not functioning in parliament. Their KP government is, I don't think so. They are working in a proper direction, or they don't have any
But
plans.
Mustafa,
So
you've
I think
mentioned
all in all,
yourself.
PTI is right now in a mess.
Right, but you've mentioned yourself that their KP government. The question is that they are. I mean, whether one says, however they are functioning, it is their government as far as the KP province is concerned. So, denying their mandate is something that is probably not possible, right?
Nobody is denying their mandate. Actually, they are denying their mandate themselves. At one side they are saying that whole election was rigged, and at the same time they are defending that KP government. How can the election commission rig entire election and leave KP behind? I mean, doesn't make sense. So I think they don't have a narrative. They're just trying to create a nuisance value so that they stay relevant in the politics. But I think people are fed up now. People want peace, people want prosperity. Our economy is moving forward. We need to get serious. We can't just revolve around PTI and just mess up with the economy further. So right now I think if they want to have a dialogue, they need to show some seriousness.
Okay, fair enough. Let me go to Aniq sir. Do you think that it's what Mustafa is saying? On the one hand, he's saying that they're talking about an alliance because they don't have the numbers. They've tried, of course, we saw, and I think Uzma talked about how when people, or 24th, I think she mentioned, but there has been some failure to get as many people out.
Yep.
Do you think that there is a failure to engage with their supporters at this time? Because in the absence of the former Prime Minister Imran Khan, and the fact that the leadership itself seems divided, there is an inability to get their supporters out, or do you think that they are losing that kind of support bank that they had before?
Well, there are both. You can see it in both ways. Number one, obviously they have tested their street power again and again, and whatever street power they had, it's now tied. They have made their workers tied. If you go back to the last year, I think they were giving call every month to come to Islamabad or to Lahore or whatever, and or again and again asking people to face law enforcement agencies, attack Islamabad or whatever they were preaching. So now the support base is tied, the active worker is tied. On the other hand, also there is a realization amongst the population, general population, that Pakistan cannot continue to be in a state of flux always. There has to be some stability, and people need stability, people need their businesses to run, people need their offices to work, people need their children to go to school. So this strategy of blocking cities and roads again and again is also alienating a large number of population. If you talk to people in Islamabad, shopkeepers in Blue area or something, they even if they say that we have been voting for PTI for the last 2-3 elections, but this is not what we want. We want our businesses to work. So this is one aspect of it. Second aspect of it is, of course, PTI's own rank and file in the sense of leadership, second tier and third tier leadership, because there only on the tier 1 there is only one person, that is Mr. Khan himself. He is right now behind bars, yes. He is absent. The second tier and third tier leadership, there are many groups. Then obviously there are now it has been admitted by Junaid Akbar, who is the new KP head of the party, that grouping is also on the lines of Imran Khan's sister and Imran Khan's wife. Besides that, there are people like former PTI, you can say, but still sympathizing PTI, like Imran Ismail, Fawad Chaudhry. They are saying the current leadership is incapable of making any political movement succeed. Then PTI only is left with one political option, and that is to seek alliances. But alliances always extract their own pound of flesh.
But Aniq Sahib, even if, as far as alliances are concerned, it's when we look at the provincial situation, KP itself, the way that KP is used, because of course, as far as PTI is concerned, they have government there. To use the province itself, every time there's a protest, do you think that the vote bank there also is suffering?
I am certain that it will start suffering if it hasn't started suffering already, because you are using KP as a springboard and for the negative purpose, not for any positive activity. You are not focusing on governance. Everyone who visits KP or who understands KP everyone knows that there is lack of governance, there are stories of corruption. Then there is now sort of a split between the chief minister and these people like Junaid Akbar and all that. So there are groups developing.
Holding it together is itself a challenge at this time.
It is a
and
challenge.
And mobilizing it itself
because
is
people are realizing the deliverance part of the governance is not working in KP.
And basically, to use them, like I said, for the protest purposes.
That's the only purpose. And then to aggravate that, they also try to create ethnic tensions between Pashtuns and Punjabis. So this is going nowhere.
Let me include Uzma. Uzma, there is, on the one hand, of course, the visuals that are coming from Punjab are, the horse and kettle show, and we are looking at a revival of culture, of music. We are also, again, if we look at the federation, there is again and again talk of investment, there is talk of, bringing economy back on the ground. And to disrupt that, do you think that the government is in a position to take on? First of all, you think that it's going to be something to take on at all as far as this alliance is concerned? Do you think that this attempt to disrupt that flow can be successful? First of all,
Mahrukh, what have the people of Pakistan done to deserve this chaos and this disruption all the time in their lives? They want prosperity, they want progress, they want a good quality of life for themselves, for their children. They are fed up. They are fed up of all this. Because why did they vote for PTI? None of the promises that were made in the manifesto of PTI were ever fulfilled. In fact, he couldn't control his party, he couldn't control his vote bank, he couldn't even control his own family life. So he he had a golden opportunity to turn around things in Pakistan, but he lost that opportunity because of his short-sightedness, because of his superstitious nature, and his this dream of becoming PM for life. Unfortunately, these things were not the reasons why people voted for him in the first place. Now the thing is that
even if one agrees with that, they still have some numbers, right? And they've still managed to keep that, that kind of vote bank that has given them KP. So how would you
see that vote bank was largely built through maligning other parties, by dirting other parties that they are corrupt. They have looted and plundered Pakistan, and that is how space was made for PTI. But now we have realized, the people have realized, that who is the one who is doing some good work for their children, for their families, and who is destroying the lives of their children. After 9th May, you see so many young people languishing in jails. They have destroyed their chance of making a good life for themselves. So people don't want that anymore. They look towards, for example, I will talk about Maryam Nawaz. Her first year, she has introduced about 90 initiatives which have benefited the people of Punjab, like the scholarship scheme, 30,000 children on merit getting scholarships. Well, of course, 30,000 now, the children in KP They are wondering why they can't get this benefit, and why they are being deprived. So these questions are being raised in other provinces. If Punjab can do it, why can't other provinces? So here I think people eventually will not move towards a party which is just ruining effectively the lives of their children and disrupting their normal day-to-day living. I think it is time that we move towards economic development of the country. Maybe sacrifice our politics, but focus, make Pakistan a red line. Focus on developing the economy and establishing. Industrial units, providing fundamental rights to the people. 70% of people in KP, they come to Punjab for their treatment. They don't have proper hospitals there. They don't have proper doctors there. So what is all this? I mean, why have people brought us into power in the first place? So that we can improve the quality of their lives and ensure their fundamental rights. And what is happening? The taxpayers' money in KP is not being used for the welfare of the taxpayer. It is being used to attack the state. Time and again, we've seen that how people are brought. Even 1122 is not spared. So how can this cannot go on forever? This chaos and this kind of detrimental politics, it will have a fallout. Eventually you have to put people first, you have to put Pakistan first, you have to put the economy of Pakistan back on track, and anything that comes in the way of that will not be tolerated anymore.
Right. Let me include Mustafa in this. Mustafa, as far as the long-term consequences, for example, of this kind of politics of agitation, do you think that as a political party, whether there's a grand alliance or not, these consequences, do you think there will be these long-term consequences? Because we've seen disruptions that have repeatedly come from the PTI. If they continue to go down that road, isn't it going to be a cause of concern for the government, in your opinion?
I think, of course, as a nation, it is a point of concern, because they are in a way dragging the whole nation towards a constant chaos. And see, when Zardari Sahab was arrested by Imran Khan during his tenure, Sindh government was functioning. Sindh government was not used against the federal government. Right now, what we are seeing, that a provincial government is just being used as a tool against the federal government, just to help the leader who is in jail. He should face the trial. He should believe in the courts. I mean, he doesn't believe in anything. They don't believe in the parliament. They don't believe in the courts. They don't believe in any other political party. They don't want to talk with any other political party. So I think this is not something which Pakistan deserves. Pakistan deserves prosperity and tranquility and peace. We have faced a lot since 2011. The country is facing this thing. And I would say it's a rogue element. I would not say that it's functioning as a political party, because the way they are abusing the power of social media.
Yeah, again and again, when you say that they are functioning, the only thing that really differentiates them from rogue elements, as you call it, or a fractional group, is the vote bank that has given them a province. It's given them, sufficient numbers in the National Assembly also. Which is allowing them to play, so to speak, which is allowing them to engage or not to engage, or talk about engagement, or talk about protest. So that
exactly, but they need to.
Ji.
Yes.
Please continue.
I'm saying they need to behave as a political party.
But do you think that vote bank is actually
work? They need to do something productive for the people of KP.
Okay, fair enough. Let me include Aniq sir. Do you think that it is for that vote bank that they talk about protests? You think that it is for they play to their supporters, and they want to talk about politics of agitation because in the past, perhaps even if not now, it's worked as a strategy for them.
I totally agree with you that in the past, this has been their major strategy to rile up people and build their platform
the politics of dharna.
on agitation and sort of hate for the other party, otherization of other political forces, or the negation of the other political forces, and declaring all of them corrupt, and that is why they are on the streets and all that, and protesting always. So it was a party of agitation. But again, I'll come back to the point that that strategy can work for a limited period.
You think they've exhausted it?
I think they are now on a downhill.
Okay.
And they will continue to travel on that path because they do not know any other way to function. They are trying to build an alliance, but I do not believe that they can function in an alliance.
Okay.
Because in an alliance you have to listen to others. PTI and its leadership is not the kind which listens to others.
Okay.
It always has to bring down others and push through their agenda. So that is why I don't believe that this alliance will work. We have seen that when they were doing all this, they had built an alliance with likes of Mr. Aniq Zafar and all those political smaller political parties, but we saw that all these all these long marches or protest rallies or their jalsas, they were absent. They were not consulting with Mr. Aniq Zafar. When they suddenly called off things, they did not consult with Mr. Aniq Zafar. Now they are trying to rope in Maulana Fazlur Rahman. Maulana Fazlur Rahman has his own brand of politics. He is a very canny operator. And as I said previously as well, that the alliance partners extract their pound of flesh. And Maulana Fazlur Rahman is great at that. Leveraging his political position both with the opposition and with the government. So I will be watching it very keenly how after entering an alliance with them, what kind of deal Maulana extracts from the government. So that will be the only outcome of this alliance. And without this alliance, I don't see any future of the protest planned after Eid.
Let me go to Uzma with this also. Uzma, if that does happen, if they do manage to get Maulana Sahab on their side, as far as these protests are concerned, do you think that the government will have to face perhaps a difficult situation?
I think the government is very confident and they are moving ahead in leaps and bounds as far as stabilizing the economy is concerned. You can see the dollar, it's stable. You know about the stock market, about the interest rate from 23, it's come down to 12. Inflation from 38 has come down to 4. So the economic indicators are now moving towards stability. So the government is more focused on this. As far as a grand alliance is concerned, I think the Maulana knows very well, the kind of name calling and the kind of bashing he has suffered at the hands of PTI and its founder. So if they want to, go through that again, by all means, but I think the Maulana is a very savvy politician and he will play his
during the 26th Amendment.
The founder mimic each other and they make fun of everybody. So they don't believe in respecting other people. There's no such thing as dignity and self-respect. It is all trolling and maligning people, hurling accusations at them. So
we know that in politics it's not unheard of that there is today's friends are today's foes are tomorrow's friends and tomorrow's foes are today's friends. That kind of situation always happens as far as politics is concerned. And during the 26th Amendment, we saw Maulana Sahab engage with PTI leadership earlier. So it's quite, in that sense, it's not unheard of for two different political parties to come together. let me include Mustafa in this also. Mustafa, that itself is not something that is, preventative of or, unheard of as far as Maulana Saab and PTI is concerned, right?
See, again, Mahrukh, I would say there has been alliances of political parties, and we are like currently supporting PML-N in this government, and we have stayed in alliances, but never ever we have crossed the lines. We have never, abused the leadership of the political party. So the way Imran Khan did with all the political leaders, I think, no matter if they create an alliance, no matter it works or not, but the image of a political leader who is abusing other political leaders, and it has distorted the political maturity or sanity, of that particular political party. Right now, I think if I don't think so that this current alliance, which probably they are trying to, go for a street protest after Eid, I don't think so it will work, because unless IK apologizes, nothing doing.
Okay. Let me come back to you. Aniq Sahab, do you think there's a possibility, one, of what Mustafa is saying, of the head of PTI, former Prime Minister Imran Khan, apologizing? We haven't seen it come to that.
No. I don't see any possibility of that, because again, that damages his brand, because his brand is arrogance,
the self-righteousness that comes with being
arrogance, self-righteousness, and his sport base also places him way above any human being, or beyond any mistakes or any faults. So it is impossible for him to admit a mistake. So that is not going to happen. Going forward, what he is good at is that he will double down. That is his way of functioning in politics and life. Double down. We have seen it happening in his family life. We have seen it happening in his life as a player. And
because
also
we saw the negotiation. It is a classic case of, like you said, doubling down. We saw that the negotiations start. We saw some comments. We saw some statements, and then boom, it doesn't happen, and there's talk of protest.
Yeah, look, in these very studios, I had perhaps narrated the incident of early May 2024, when through a Supreme Court mandated or on the advice of the Supreme Court, politicians had got together, and there was an agreement between between PTI. Imran Khan was not behind bars at that time. Between PTI's negotiating committee and the government committee, there had been an agreement when will be assemblies dissolved, when will the election will be held, and when that committee went back to the presidency, where Mr. Arif Alvi was president at that time, and dialed a call to Imran Khan, he simply told them, no, it's not going to happen. We are not getting into any agreement. And the government committee, even at that time, like this time, was left stranded, because everything had been agreed to, and the moment the PTI's own committee talked to Mr. Khan, he said no. So no one in PTI has any authority to enter into any agreement. That has been the major question whenever they have sat down with stakeholders, whether political or establishment. The question remains that who will give guarantee of Mr. Khan? And also, when people talk about Mr. Khan, and then some people talk about that some international players, some state may try to intervene and try to get him out. Again, the question is asked from those well-wishers is that who will guarantee, Mr. Khan.
But do you think that Aniq Saab, the government is terribly pushed at this time?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Government has only one concern, and that is they want some kind of political stability. I would say more than political stability, they want less noise, because in the era of social media, the noise is amplified multiple times, so that creates a sort of environment that perhaps the country is unstable. But I think in terms of pure politics, I don't think there is a threat to the government.
Let me go with this to Uzma. Uzma, do you think that do you think that at this time the government is really, again, they've managed to create the kind of stability that they were targeting, and they're not, as far as this Grand Alliance is concerned, will it manage to disrupt things sufficiently and create the kind of noise which Aniq Saab talks about? And of course, as far as social media is concerned, as far as perception is concerned, to some extent in today's world it does matter. Does the government think so?
It's more a storm in a teacup, because it's all their narrative building is done by Gibran Ilyas, and he's the actual leader of PTI as far as Bani is concerned. The real core political leadership is in wilderness these days. Nobody, like even Shah Mahmood, we've heard him very often saying that nobody bothers to come and consult me about any kind of strategy in which direction the party should go. So it's in the hands of, it's been sabotaged, it's held hostage by these people, building false narratives, and by lawyers who've got tickets in the last election. So they all have their own axe to grind, and they want their pound of flesh. Nobody actually wants the founder to come out of jail, because if he comes out, then they are gone. So actually, this whole party is in disarray, and it's because there's so much of infighting now that they are not a threat to anybody, least of all the government. And the way they've been, bad mouthing the Pakistan institutions and trying to weaken them and trying to hit at their chain of command, not just at home but abroad, it is absolutely condemnable. How do you weaken your own country? And the polarization which has spread in society because of the way they have used, especially the youth. It's unbelievable what kind of values and what kind of example are you setting in front of these youngsters. I was I was on an Indian channel before coming here, and there was this representative of PTI, and the way he was bad mouthing his own Pakistan national security institutions. I mean, I just couldn't believe. I couldn't believe my ears. For God's sake, you're sitting on an Indian channel and bad mouthing your own institutions. I mean, they should be ashamed of themselves. They should be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
Mustafa, I know that we're running out of time, but as far as PPP is concerned, your political party is concerned, do you think that the PPP itself has played that kind of role? Because of course, Zardari Saab is known as a politician of that kind of foresight to perhaps bring some kind of to bring a kind of middle ground to perhaps the kind of dialogue that were earlier talked about between the PTI and the PML-N, and of course you also, because you are part of the alliance. Do you think that the PPP has played that role sufficiently and realized that of course it's not worked?
I think, Mahrukh, everybody has played their role, but the point is PTI itself was not serious to have any sort of dialogue. Right now, Zardari Saab is leading as a statesman. He has, he went to China. He had a very successful tour over there, and he's working with international allies of Pakistan, so that we should get back on track. Chairman Bilawal is, trying to, make a bridge between US and China, so that, economically we as a nation can survive and we can move forward. So as a leader, this is what people expect. This is what people expect at the time when the country is going through a lot. So the nation, the 65% of youth, this is what they want. They want to go further. They want to go and achieve what other countries are achieving right now. So I think right now we are in safe hands, and inshallah Pakistan will move forward in the right direction.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for being with us today. Aniq Zafar Saab, thank you for joining us. Uzma Kardar, thank you for being with us today. Mustafa Baloch, thank you for joining us. At this time, we of course find a government, as far as PML-N is concerned, as far as the PPP is concerned, largely dismissive of the kind of claims that the PTI is making as far as their grand alliance is concerned, post-Eid, as far as their coming together is concerned. Whether this kind of a grand alliance will actually manifest itself is the real question. And of course, we'll know that sooner to the day. As far as post-Eid is concerned. Let's see what happens. At this time, of course, we see a government and its allies focused more on economic development. And that seems to be the real focus here. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.